Welcome back to another episode of Sal and Pals Go to the Movies. This is another Throwback Thursday review, and today I will be reviewing The Italian Job from 1969. And just a fair warning, there's going to be spoilers up ahead, so you've been warned. A comic caper movie about a plan to steal a gold shipment from the streets by creating a traffic jam. And a quick thanks to Jake and Elwood for this review suggestion. So let's begin with my first pro. So we get to see Michael Caine play Charlie, the mastermind behind the heist job. But this is before he was well known and famous in America. As you recall, the earliest film we reviewed from his was Sulu, and in that film he seemed like he was wearing eye makeup, which is what I can remember from that review very well. His acting in that movie was also good, and especially in this movie his character and acting is well delivered. And I believe that this character has shaped all the other characters from all the heist movies that have come after this movie in one way or another. The rest of the cast are great, especially Benny Hill. Even though he does not have a big part in this movie, I like to see that as pop culture reference in this movie since he is a comedic figure in England. But back to the rest of the cast. They are great and they do all their best, and it does show in the film that once it gets going, it gets going. The scenes are very well done, and it's very amazing to see the actual escape being planned out and also being executed. Next point is the simple story of the film. A heist movie that revolves around cars and driving. That's it. So this is a better version of the Fast and the Furious in 1969. The driving stunts and the whole execution of the heist is great, and it can be traced as inspiration for future car heist movies. But this film, I feel, has the dark British humor that not everyone can grasp. So I would understand if some viewers are put off because of this. I think when I first saw it as a young kid, I found it hard to understand the way they were speaking and even the comedy they were trying to relay. But later, after I learned about British shows like Benny Hill, Monty Python, and along with other British films that I saw, I learned to understand the tongue-in-cheek humor of the culture, and especially this film. For example, the line from Charlie that he delivers saying, "You're only supposed to blow the bloody doors off." This is similar to the line from Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid that we've reviewed recently. After blowing up the car with dynamite, Sundance says, "Do you think you used enough dynamite there, Butch?" It is used in a similar way in similar scenes to get the point across that there's too much power involved and it's a joke. But as you can tell, one is a Western movie and the other is a car chase movie. Even though these movies were released in the same year, one was well received than the other in America. Then we have the final line from Charlie in the movie when he says, "Hang on a minute, lads, I've got a great idea." So here we get another great line, which is delivered as a humor part because the movie ends abruptly, but at the same time it does work since it does leave us with a cliffhanger, literally a cliffhanger. So this way you can actually make your own conclusion about the film, even though the company, I'm pretty sure, had plans to see if they were going to make a sequel depending on how sales went. Next is the chase sequence. It was really nicely shot using small cars to show you that you don't always need fast cars and big muscle cars to get away from something, but you do have to have a good plan to execute it. I do feel that the stunt drivers don't get enough credit for the stunts, and they should have. I can actually see the stunt drivers appearing in an episode of Top Gear. If the show was around back then, imagine having them on and taking on an obstacle course to see who can beat real cops. That'd be an episode I would actually watch. But really, the action scenes and the way they filmed it was amazing for 1969, showing small cars going through small spaces and how they actually got away with something big in small cars. Last pro is the ending, which was, like I said, a real cliffhanger to say the least. The buzz was actually on the edge, and Charlie says he has an idea to get out of that, and then cuts to credits. I feel that it works fine, even though I would like to see something different happen, but apparently it was not allowed to show the criminals get away with gold back then. So they had to end the movie this way, and it also allowed it as a starting off point if a sequel did take place or ever got made. But it never did. But there was rumors that the plan was to make another movie called The Brazilian Job and start from there. As the buzz was rocking back and forth on the cliff, all of a sudden they get saved by the Italian mob and they take the gold. And their plan next is to, again, retrieve the gold from the mafia and bring it back to England. But those are only rumors. So now on to my cons. The film was not a big hit in America, and I felt that it was partly marketing's fault to blame here. First, you need to bridge the American humor culture with the British comedy culture. I recall seeing back in the day when Jackie Chan was first coming to America or being marketed in America, commercials of his upcoming movie that played, which made point to say that Jackie Chan was doing his own stunts. There was no double or special effect used in the scenes that were being used on the TV screen. So for this film, I feel that the commercial with a tongue-in-cheek kind of humor was the way to go. They would teach American viewers about the culture in the film reel, teaching American audience British terms. Having Michael Caine as Charlie, instead of telling us a plan, he would instead teach us terms that would be used in the movie. And at the end, it was a dirty slang, and just before we get get the American equivalent, the voiceover would say, "For that, you have to come see the film in person." Sort of a joke. But the way it was marketed in America really goes to show you the lack of culture bridging back in the day. The poster was just a mobster sitting in a chair with a Tommy gun and a woman sitting with her back facing the audience, bareback with a map on it. This was kind of really misleading since they never used guns during the heist. It was all about cars and a big traffic jam and some British humor involved. So I really think they actually lacked in the marketing department for that. Even though afterwards this became a cult classic in Britain and also some parts in America. Next con, I would say, would be the pace of the film, since it does drag at the beginning when it is establishing the key characters. I feel that it could have gone faster, and they should have had a few mini heists to get practice in before the big job, and instead of just going directly for the big plan. Also, instead of the Italian mafia going after them or trying to stop them, have a cop or detective following Charlie after he gets out of jail and telling them, "We're going to keep an eye on you. Next time we catch you, we're going to lock you up for life." This way, it shows us that people are really after Charlie and he's not just going in and out of jail. There is some consequences. So these detectives would be following him around, getting closer and closer until they finally get an idea of the big plan, which is the Italian job, and basically say, "We're going to go to the city and be there presently," and all of a sudden they get trapped in traffic, and everything that happens to the actual cops would happen to the actual main detective. And as a joke, he would just leave him a piece of gold saying, "Better luck next time." This was actually weird for me. I cannot get the idea why the mafia was involved. I would have actually just liked it if cops were involved or detectives. So my grade for this movie is going to be a solid 7 out of 10. The simplistic idea of car chases and traffic jams sprinkled with a bit of British humor and all to end up in a cliffhanger was very entertaining to watch. Yes, there might be some flaws there, and there is a small gap between the comedy culture from back in the day, but I think the biggest one was how America did not understand it and market it correctly here in the States, since the core of the movie is just a simple heist movie with cars and bad traffic. So that does it for this review of The Italian Job from 1969. Please join us next time where we're going to review Apollo 13.
We never lost an American in space. We're sure as hell not going to lose one on my watch. Failure is not an option.
Please like, comment, and subscribe. You can find our social media links below. And like always, keep watching movies.